Do you guys remember that whole situation with Donald Trump bombing those nuclear facilities in Iran? Completely obliterating them. And then there was some conflicting reports. Some reports that said we don't even really know yet. And that pissed him off even more. So there's more questions about whether or not or what he may do.
If the intelligence reports conclude that Iran can enrich uranium to a level that concerns you, would you consider bombing the country again?
Without question, absolutely.
And have you had any
Turned out to be unbelievable.
Sir, are you concerned at all about secret nuclear sites in Iran? You talked about maybe just
secret nuclear sites?
Yes, that there might be some.
Not really. Can I tell you, they're exhausted, and Israel's exhausted too. And I dealt with both of them, and they both wanted it settled, both of them, and we did a great job. But they're exhausted. The last thing they're thinking about right now is nuclear. You know what they're thinking of? They're thinking about tomorrow, trying to live. It's such a mess. It's such a mess. The place was bombed to hell. And no, I'm not worried about it at all.
He's not worried about it at all. So, again, he's ready to bomb nuclear sites in Iran. If the intelligence tells him again, like the intelligence didn't tell him before, that they're on the verge of a nuclear weapon. This is why the lies at the beginning are worth investigating. This is why the questions are worth asking. The ones that they didn't want to answer is because these types of things can move on again to the next phase. They can continue to say, yo, anytime that we say that there's something bad going on domestically to internationally, we then have this violence mindset. Sure, I'll bomb again as soon as I let you guys know that I think what I thought before that no one had any kind of confirmation of, that I dismissed my intelligence officials when they told me that I was wrong about it. Sure, I can bomb it. The biggest supporters of this guy have to admit that that doesn't make any sense. You can say that you support it, but it doesn't make any sense for you to say that anybody at any point in this administration can just claim because they don't like someone or they came up with intelligence that conflicts with the intelligence that they've been pitching themselves for however long, that suddenly they can say, yeah, I think they do have that weapon going on now. Let's go bomb again. There was something that was connected to this, though. And this is in response to this type of aggressive behavior. Talk about aggressive actions and words, because we keep hearing about how these folks in the Middle East want to have death to America, death to Israel, and all this, right? And that's threatening, and it makes people scared, and it makes them want to attack first, right? That's the mindset. We have to kill them because they keep saying death to America, death to Israel. So we have to murder all these innocent people, right? Um, what about these types of words when he keeps saying, I'm going to murder the Ayatollah, I'm going to murder someone else? Do you think that's not going to raise tensions? Do you think that's not going to make people wonder, yo, maybe he might? He kind of has already attacked us. So in response to that, there's this Iran linked hacking group. It's called Robert, and they threatened to release emails stolen from Trump and his associates. That's kind of crazy. Axios reported this. They said this cyber attacker group that hacked President Trump's 2024 campaign before is threatening again to release another trove of emails that it's stolen from his associates, including the White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, and Roger Stone. I hadn't heard about Roger Stone in a minute. I'm not sure if he's working so closely with this administration, but Susie Wiles does tend to fly under the radar. And she's one of those masterminds of this political movement that she doesn't have to have a face or even say too much in front of cameras. I think when they were winning the election, she was up there on stage and he was begging her to come talk and she didn't want to. Look up Susie Wiles because she's one of these masterminds that doesn't like to say much because she's behind the scenes doing a lot more of this. Anyways, that's why it's important that this group is saying this. So Reuters was pointing this out. They reported that this was happening just yesterday. And then the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency on X got mad about this. And they responded with this. Now, by the way, in case you're wondering if this is real or not, because when I saw it, I was like, Iranian hacker group, how much can we really know what is they can do and what they have done, and if this is just a threat because of what's going on? This is the response from our government agency. It said a hostile foreign adversary is threatening to illegally exploit purportedly stolen and unverified material in an effort to distract, discredit, and divide. This so-called cyber attack is nothing more than digital propaganda, and the targets are no coincidence. This is a calculated smear campaign meant to damage President Trump and discredit honorable public servants who serve our country with distinction. These criminals will be found and they will be brought to justice. Let this be a warning to others. There'll be no refuge, tolerance, or leniency for these actions. So if this agency says this so clearly. They're confirming, yeah, they kind of have this ability to hack our emails like they had before and reveal things that maybe we don't reveal, won't revealed. This hacking group also, by the way, after they had their attack, I believe on this campaign in 2024, said they've hung up their operations and they're done. But this whole 12-day war that, of course, Donald Trump jumped into when he attacked Iranian sites at the behest of Netanyahu, he said that triggered them to come back with more of this. Can I link this back to another story that we talked about before that this administration ditched off as just no big deal? Remember Pete Hegseth, the former Fox News host, who's now the DOD head, Department of Defense. Um, so now this guy was caught up on his Signal chats 2 times. Like, that was the exposed part. He was caught up twice on his Signal chats exposing wartime information, specific classified, would-be classified information about the coordinates and the way that they're pulling their operations, and they denied the whole thing and said, "Oh, those were just that was him talking about, like, Minecraft or something, bro. He wasn't really talking about actual war plans that they pulled off in Yemen." But if this guy is so bad at keeping any secrets to himself because he tells his wife and his brother-in-law, whoever else he had on that second Signal chat that people found out about, or maybe the first one when he included that Atlantic reporter who exposed the whole thing, and then they called him an a-hole for being put on the chat by someone else within this whole group of the entire administration talking about these plans. If they're so loosey-goosey with their information, and this Iranian hacking group is pretty good at finding out information, enough for them to post posts like that they're afraid or saying that we're going to come to the fullest extent of the law to come after these hackers and people like that, I think it's pretty easy for them to get their hands on things that Pete Hegseth has been saying. That's why it's important to be concerned with Pete Hegseth. It wasn't Trump derangement syndrome. It wasn't Pete Hegseth derangement syndrome. It was them being very loosey-goosey with a lot of our information that is national security-based information. And it's easy for anyone else to come and hack it and find out from it. But they did it on this unsecured network. That's why it's important. Like, we never tie up the strings back together. That's why it was important. It wasn't because we hate Trump so much, although I do hate Trump so much. That wasn't the reason here for pointing out some of the problems this guy has. This is one of the reasons to dislike Trump, because he covered the whole thing up and act like it was no big deal. Circled the wagons, and eventually they had to fire that one guy who's a piece of trash, which rode off into the sunset, and they act like we can write this whole thing off. Well, there's hackers, bro. Are we gonna get some information revealed? Maybe they'll get their hands on the Epstein files and team up with Elon Musk and let us know who was on that whole list.